Hey guys, welcome to Product Nation. If you've subscribed to our channel within the past year, all you've seen from us is probably just tech reviews, products, and products. So in this video, we kind of wanted to switch it up and start a new series where we just talk to you guys, have a conversation, talk about what's upcoming and interesting about the world of tech, not just product focused, but just talking to you guys. So we can have a Q&A session and stuff as well within the next few episodes. So let's get started. So we're going to be talking about 5 of the most trending headlines in the world of tech currently for this week. The first one being that the iMac Pro is going to be discontinued by Apple. Confirmed by 9to5Mac and TechCrunch with Apple that they are going to in fact be discontinuing the iMac Pros, which kind of does make sense. It's pretty inevitable. The fact that they're moving on from Intel chipsets to the M1 chips, which I'm currently using right now, it does make a lot of sense that they would do that sooner than later. Another part of this news, which is kind of a rumor, is that it's going to come with different colorways as well. If this is correct, it would mean that we'd get a redesigned iMac with different colorways like space gray, silver, rose gold, and all that great stuff. So pretty exciting, but take this with a pinch of salt because we're not really sure whether or not this is 100% true. The second headline we're talking about is kind of related to the first, wherein Apple may be discontinuing Rosetta 2 application support with the newer M1 MacBook chips. So if you guys missed it, Apple is switching over from Intel processors to their proprietary M1 chips, like I mentioned. What this means is that applications and processes, softwares that are designed for the Intel processor would need to be translated over to the M1 chip. Either developers need to make a newer version that'll support the M1 chip, which is exactly what's going to be happening. But in the meantime, we're using something called Rosetta, which is a dynamic binary translator. Essentially, it translates the Intel version to be able to run on the M1 version. So in selected regions, Apple is going to be disabling that, which could be a huge problem for some people. Even for us, for example, I'm using the M1 chip and I'm using After Effects, Premiere Pro, all that stuff based off of the Intel version using Rosetta. So if they disable that, I'll no longer be able to edit videos on this, which is pretty crazy. So this could be a little bit tricky, but there's no actual date for when this is going to happen. So we might have a little bit of time. Hopefully by then, all the developers are able to make the most essential applications possible to run on the M1. We heard rumors that the Photoshop, for example, is coming over to M1 already. So hopefully that gets done soon. Speaking of the M1 chip, our third headline is going to be Qualcomm possibly, reportedly coming out with a new processor to better rival the M1 from Apple. Qualcomm is reportedly preparing to launch a new version of its ARM-based Snapdragon 8cX processor in order to combat the Apple M1 chip. Qualcomm on its own has pretty much been focusing mostly on battery life and always on connectivity with its Windows 10 processors, but this time around they're focusing solely on just performance. This is likely to better combat the M1 processor from Apple, which to be honest in new benchmarking numbers has kind of put other processors to shame. So it kind of makes sense why they're going out against that to try to better rival it to get the numbers in the benchmarking back to normal. According to this report, Qualcomm's next generation chip won't come with a power saving core, but instead feature an 8-core configuration comprising 4 gold plus high-end cores and 4 gold high-end cores. These are currently being tested with 32 gigs of RAM, wherein the previous ones were only tested with 16 gigs of RAM. So performance may be really vastly improved here. This is still in early development process, so there's no confirmation on this as of now, but it is very likely that if not Qualcomm, some other company is going to try and rival that proprietary M1 chip. With the fourth headline, let's switch gears and talk about a new smartphone release from Huawei. Now this smartphone has been released in China as of now. This is the Huawei Mate 40e 5G and it's said to have a 6.5-inch OLED curved display with a punch hole cutout, supports Full HD Plus resolution with 90Hz refresh rate and 240Hz touch sampling rate. Okay. Back camera, you get 64 megapixel main camera, 16 megapixel ultra wide and an 8 megapixel telephoto, 3 megapixel optical zoom. It has features like 5G, you get 128 GB storage or 256, priced at $700 up to $780. Honestly, based on the price, it seems very overpriced. Like looking at something like the Note 10 Pro from Redmi that we just reviewed, that was way better for like $300 cheaper. So I'm not too sure what this is marketed towards. To be honest, I find this to be way overpriced than it should be, and we're gonna see when it comes, if we get to review it and let you guys know if it's worth your purchase. I don't think it is. Lastly, The Verge has some rumored specs for the Nintendo Switch Pro for you portable gamers out there. We're going to read out some of these specs. 7-inch 720p OLED display that can output 4K graphics when connected to a TV, according to the report. So the main display on its own is still going to be 720p, not up to 1080p. A bit weird there. All right, so the 4K output kind of makes sense because the current Switch does only 1080p. I understand that, but the main display itself, the 7-inch, is still 720 OLED. That's a bit odd. I hope that this rumor is wrong and it's a 1080p. I want to see better Joy-Cons for comfortable gaming experience, because the Joy-Cons currently don't seem to be very comfortable when you're playing on the Switch. Bluetooth connectivity to be able to connect headphones to it directly, so you don't need to use dongles and weird adapters, and you can just use Bluetooth built into it, which you already have, to connect to external headphones. That would be a great touch too. Since we're in the world of next-gen gaming, maybe a quick resume feature where you can switch through games very quickly. That would be nice too. Please, Nintendo, do that. Lastly, maybe add in some streaming apps. Maybe add more support for things like Netflix and stuff. You can just chill and watch movies on there as well. So that's about it. Those are our 5 tech headlines. We're planning to do this series every Friday. So if you guys have any questions about what we just talked about, or for next week's episodes, you want to ask us any question related to what we're doing in the world of tech, drop it in the comments and we'll be sure to answer that in next week's episode. We really hope you enjoyed this new, interesting way of creating content where we just sit down and talk to you guys. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and do consider subscribing for more content just like this, and we'll see you again in the next video.